As we wrap up, we just want to briefly talk about this topic, few minutes, the issue of mental health, particularly male mental health and male suicide. We've seen some of the stats across Australia that, particularly in Australia, about 2,500 men in 2019 took their lives. And there was a bit of a jump in 22, 23, about 10% of increase of male suicide. This is from the Australian Men's Health Forum. And I think looking at other stats is in terms of percentage between males and females, it's much more a higher number of males attempting suicide and actually fulfilling that. And I think it's a lack of us men opening up to each other, having an outlet to talk. What are your thoughts about that, gentlemen?
I think it's mainly the culture around us men not opening up like to anyone, not amongst our friends, but to everyone. You find that if you've got things that are eating you alive, you tend to keep them inside you, and they keep, it's like boiling a frog with a slow heat. And then when it becomes overwhelming, that's when people don't know what to do and they end up committing, suicide. And the system has got limited support structures for men. Like, for example, here in Western Australia, if you move around, you'll see fewer men's sheds compared to women's shelter.
Yeah,
I rarely saw a men's shelter.
Yeah, I think it's generally a combination of things where there's been an advancement in support for a certain species or a certain gender, and then there's no support at all for the next. So what you find is there's a lot of different forms of support for the first gender, and then when you look at the next, there's nothing. So basically the same thing could happen to a man that happens to a woman, but the woman is the first to receive help, is the first to get that sort of support that they need, and is even pushed further to even things like opportunity at work, opportunity everywhere. You find some companies now, in any sort of position that's available in the company, they will first of all consider how many women have applied versus how many men. Even though the men are qualified to take that job, there's going to be consideration about how many women have applied and can we give them that, only to satisfy those who intend on having that sort of balance in the workplace or in the lifestyle that we live. But it's just quite sad. If at all there's an agenda that needs to be pushed, and if it all comes in the name of equality, then the only thing they need to be doing is showing equality, because there's no way you can speak about equality and that you are taking down one side and bringing up the next.
Yeah, I think as you both have alluded, I think it's the lack of our own men's shed. I think, women, or if you're in a relationship or in a marriage, you can tell your missus or partner 10 times that I don't want you to talk about our personal problems, but somehow, some way, they'll find one of their outlets to share what's happening in the in the home. And you as a man, you really can't really do that. You can't really go to your boys and say, brother, this is what's happening to me. Have you faced this in your place? And I think particularly from a cultural perspective of an African culture, I think it's taboo to pretty go to another male and say, in my house,
I'm facing this, my guy.
In my house, I'm facing this karate. When I walk in the door, I'm given a kick on the chin And
Mm.
I think,
But it's quite sad though when you put it that way, because you know, I don't know what it is, because
Yeah.
most of the times you'll find that it's the guys who then turn against their own. It's almost like they turn against their own and eat them up. Like, you know, if I'm to come to you and say, listen, my guy, I think I caught my wife doing this. Instead of you saying, you know what, let's find out, or let's do this, or support me, you are going to say, no,
Means
don't
you're a
worry.
weak
I
man.
think it's nothing. It's nothing. Don't worry about it. But probably you already know that something is happening here, but you just won't tell me. So, you know, it's things like this that all will always come back to bite us, because you know, but you just won't say it simply because I don't know whether you want to support the women, or you want to be, said to be the cool guy. I don't know what it is, but yeah, we fail each other, and it always comes to bite. Unfortunately, it always comes to bite you back, because what you do to others will always come back to you.
Yeah, it's a mixture of a lot of things. Some statistics are here, despite the race, culture or creed. It's saying that 1 in every 3 domestic violence is actually perpetrated against a man.
Oh, yeah.
So you find that about 33% of men, of the reported DVs, are men, but underneath that iceberg, you find that almost 60% of men, they don't report domestic violence. So there is unreported. Out of that 33%, there is more that are not reported at all. Because if you go to your workmates, your tradie workmates, and say, guys, my wife is giving me a boot, they'll be laughing at you.
Yeah.
So the next thing is you're not going to tell anybody.
Yeah. And unfortunately, you know what that always ends up to? It ends up to domestic violence against the initial perpetrator. And then only then will it be an issue, unfortunately.
And when that issue happens, that's when if you've got kids, you lose access to the kids. You're not living in the house anymore. And then what do you end up doing? You just say, look, my life is messed up.
Yeah.
Let me just
you end up going to the booze. You end up, some weaker men will end up going to drugs.
Yeah.
And that's it. You fall down a rabbit hole and you can't get out of it.
So I think it's something which we'll continue to discuss. We wanted to bring it as our initial starting point. There's more discussions to this about men's mental health. And obviously we also respect our lovely women and their mental health struggles, but we know women have got a bigger support system all around them through friends, cousins, aunts, and they can share. They really open up and share. But I think it's to encourage men to find a space where you can feel comfortable just unloading. I think unloading takes a lot of pressure from the head, and then you're a better person.
Yeah. Just on the side note, there was this skit. I don't remember, but it was more of an African skit where 2 people went into the police station to report domestic violence. So that was the husband and wife going into the police station. We want to report domestic violence. And the police straight away took the man and put him in cuffs to say, okay, what did he do? And then on the flip side, they said, no. The wife.
He's the one who bit.
We've lost Joe there.
We've lost Joe. That's crazy.
Yeah, I think, Joe, and he's been traveling, so he's been on a remote area. So I think we've lost him with the network. But that was an interesting discussion. It's something which will continue on in the next few episodes about men's health, mental health in general, about protecting one's mental health, whether male, female, parents, grandparents, husbands, wives, children. I think it's something which we'll need to delve in.